Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 27 of Deep in the Novo. I'm Ryan Novozinsky, joined here, as always, by my co-host, Sudeep, Tumma. And today, we're excited because we love talking basketball, and we're going to be talking about OSU's 70-62 victory over Marquette yesterday in Milwaukee. I believe Marquette's in Milwaukee, right?
That is right.
So. Yeah, okay. I'm just making sure, right? Just trying to be a good journalist and have all my facts in order, right? I'm not a geography expert, as some of our other friends are. But this was an interesting. I texted you after the game. I said this was an interesting win, right? Because there was a lot of There's a lot of fun things, especially when you talk about the defense. And I want to start there because, my goodness, the defense was on fire yesterday. I mean, just forcing turnovers. Not only that, but controlling the pace of the game, right? Obviously, OSU goes down early, right? And that was another big thing is the comeback during this game early on, obviously. But I think the defense was a big part of this, especially that zone. That zone was killing Marquette.
It started after OSU went down a lot early. Then they went to that 2-2-1 press. Mm-hmm. And I said this during the game. You don't always, full court press because you're trying to create turnovers or do anything like that. Or, you're not always trying to do that. Obviously, that is a product. And if you're not just West Virginia, but a lot of teams, you're trying to do that. But for OSU that had, lost all momentum so early, that had been going in the wrong direction, you do that because you want to slow down the opposing team. Mm-hmm. You want to, get their offense out of sync, change up the game script a little bit, which they did. And from there, you saw it because Marquette couldn't come down with the same tempo, with the same flair, the same momentum. They had to slow things down a little bit. And then once they got in the half-court sets, that 2-3 zone really killed them early because you went to that 2-3 zone and you saw this. I mean, I'll just say this, plain and simple. Through 3 games, I love this defense.
Yeah.
The last year versus this year are 2 different things. Obviously, you have much better defenders coming into this year. I mean, you lose like a guy like Thomas Zagwa and you replace him with a guy like Rondell Walker, Bryce Williams, all these guys. But each and every person, even Farron, everyone who was, even Matthew Alexander Moncrief, everyone is just, even if they're not producing at the same level on defense, everyone is buying in. Mm-hmm. Forget about the lack of height, the lack of anything. The fact that everyone is playing so hard on defensive end, and it's a team effort, not just because everyone's playing hard as a team, because you see the way they're rotating. You see how active this defense is. Mm-hmm. In the 2-3 zone, you see 2-3 zones are so effective because you should double so well or, rotate to one side. You see good zones like Syracuse. Yeah. You see them at one point, and if you just turn on the TV in the middle of the game, you'll see about their entire defense on half of the half court. That's how it's supposed to look because you're rotating as one unit. You're getting back. You're forcing the defense to throw the ball across the entire court. And by the time you do that, you've already rotated there. You're not giving them anything in the post. You're not giving them anywhere. And you saw the way this zone was playing. It was so well. You saw, first of all, individual great defense. Cade Cunningham sticking on one wing. Isaac Likely another place. Guys rotating easily, communicating so well, switching so well. I mean, in the zone you don't switch, but, just rotating so well and moving. And then you see the way they're forcing guys into other guys. And then, fronting the post. I mean, in the zone, you weren't letting the ball get in the middle, as in down low. But then in the middle, you saw a guy sliding in front of there to make sure it wasn't easy. What's the easiest and best way to break the zone? Get the ball in that free throw line. Get that ball in the middle. Then from there, make decisions. Force that defense to collapse, and then get the ball if you need to. Get good shots. Always take the middle if you can. But OSU wasn't letting them. And you saw it so many times. There wasn't just turnovers on swats and steals, which was great. I mean, first off, there was active hands. Bryce Williams, Cade Cunningham, 4 and 3 steals. You're swatting balls, forcing guys to create mistakes. But also just shot clock violations. Yeah. There were several of those because this team is just, Marquette just kept, trying to pass the ball. They couldn't get a good shot off, and that really hindered them. And then in man-to-man, they were great again. It was active. It was rotating really well like they normally do. They switch really well. Everyone's playing such strong defense, and they're playing as a team because sometimes it's not just man-to-man on the perimeter. Mm-hmm. It's, okay, I'm going to force you this way. It's, again, hard to describe over voice, but imagine you're the guys on the wing, you're forcing him to the baseline or forcing him to the middle so that you have another guy to help. And there was a lot of that, forcing to the middle. And that's such an effective strategy. But again, all of this started from Mike Boyan's decision to go to a 2-2-1 press. Didn't force turnovers so much. There were a few, swats and things here and there. But for the most part, it changed the tempo. It changed the script. Great coaching decision. Defense starts by coaching.
Yes, it started with that 2-1 press, right? Whereas there wasn't, and some traps too at half court. And while those traps at half court or that 2-1 press, right? it didn't cause any turnover or many turnovers as a direct result of that. It permeated down to that 2-3 zone, right? And then that's what caused some of these turnovers. And
you just get them out of sync.
Yeah, out of sync for sure. And Marquette even tried, like they tried to, like you said, attack near that free throw line, right in the middle, and even some zone offense concepts, right? And really just nothing was working for the Marquette Golden Eagles, and it is a testament too to what Mike Boynton was able to do, and was what he was trying to do was get them out of sync, and it worked.
And just watch the way he's coached his team for the past years. He's emphasized defense so much, and now with these guys, I mean, you see Rondell, Bryce Williams, Cade Cunningham, Isaac Likely. I mean, you thought the Avery Anderson, the amount of really good defenders, but also guys that commit on the defensive end that they just rotate. That's what I'm most happiest about. The fact that this team is playing as a team on defense.
Right.
They're rotating so well. In the post, there's a reason there's not so many, there's not a lot of, easy baskets and such, because almost everything is contested, because you see the way they're rotating, they're switching really well. Off ball, that's where you a lot of times will lose guys.
Yeah.
When a guy will just, it's almost a flaw with a lot of teams though. They'll let a guy chase someone else around instead of seamlessly switching. But again, easier said than done, but it comes from in practice, from communicating, from harping on the fact that communication is so important. I'm sure they screw that up a million times in practice, but learning from that and getting guys. And now you see on the court, and it just looks like a seamless product of switching, rotating really well, weak side rotations, getting help on drives, all these things. And you can't be mad about baskets that go in all the time, but baskets that aren't contested will, tick you off if you're an OSU fan. And this is one where they really, hamper down on defense really well.
Yeah, they totally did. And let's put some tangibility to this, right? Outside of the scoreboard and the end result, let's talk about how Marquette did as in the second half when OSU really started to ramp up this zone and that press.
Just pressure,
and the numbers back it up. It was 8 for 31 shooting in the second half for Marquette, okay? 24 turnovers in the game. This was ridiculous and a great testament to the motor. Once again, we use that word, motor of this OSU team. I mean, these guys are relentless on defense, and it is a part of their identity, and they are proud to be a part of this OSU defense, right? And this OSU team as a whole.
Look, you can either sit there and complain about how small this team is or how they don't have big length, or you can go and play hard. And that's what this team has done all year long.
Right.
Mike Boyd, none of these guys have ever been concerned or even in the slightest been concerned about, we can't cover Azubuike down low. Obviously he's gone, but we can't cover big guys down low, or we don't have the post defense, or blah blah blah. It's just, we're just, I don't care. We're gonna get around it. I mean, if you want to complain, sit there and complain. But it hasn't been. It's been such good team defense, and I'm gonna say it, and I keep saying it. I'm gonna say it again. Team defense in 2020 is how you play good defense in basketball.
Sure, of course, yeah. And all these switches, right? All the help defense, all the team defense. This is how you win, right? And they, as a unit, move very cohesively. So, what a performance from this defense yesterday! That really was quite a performance. Now let's talk about Cade Cunningham, right? Obviously, a big thing coming in was the battle of the freshmen, right? For Marquette and obviously versus Cade Cunningham. So what did you see from him yesterday? I obviously didn't have statistically as great of a performance as he did the first game, but my goodness, he was the clear best player on the floor, and he proves this game in and game out.
I think 3 games in, I'm sure I knew this, but I think I've really realized every team is going to harp in on Cade Cunningham, irrespective of the fact that all these guys have gone off this game, which we'll get to. But irrespective of that, people are going to start there because that's where this often starts. But I thought it was great. Before we get into what Cade did, how Mike Boynton has been using Cade.
Yeah.
You see it now with the post-ups. You see him down low. They get him the ball there. They reverse the ball. They run him some picks to get him good position. Cade is so smart and so savvy and understands post position. He's near the rim, but he'll just seek out a little bit of a gap. Again, hard to describe over voice, but he'll be near the basket, and there'll be just a little bit of a sliver of space between the basket and his man, whose man will be trying to front him, but that ball will go over. He'll get good space, and then he'll make good decisions that way. They get him the ball on the perimeter, and I thought it was really smart. And you see the IQ and the understanding after a little bit of I can't drive in because there's so many bodies here, but what's really changing is, I knew he was a good shooter, but he's proving it game in, game out that he is a shot creator, that he can stop on a dime, pull up in front of you, make mid-range shots, got a sweet stroke, got a very fundamental stroke, and he can pull up, he can make difficult shots, the turnaround near the basket. These are difficult shots.
Yeah.
And it's the smartness of understanding, A, let me get the ball to my 3-point shooters, and B, that's not always going to work, especially with the way Marquette was playing. You see the way they were packing the paint, especially early before those three started to go down. It was really packing the paint, and it wasn't packing the paint where it was just stuffed, right? It was just, those guys can rotate and get there, and they were. And they were, letting the 3 ball fly a little bit. They were rotating late. But Cade understanding, okay, yeah, I need to hit some of these outside shots so the inside game will open. It changes the whole dynamic because you start hitting the mid-range shots, the 3-point shots. Those things here and there, it changes everything. So I thought Cade played really well, and I think it's really understanding of when to pick his spots, where to go, and just his ability to go get a basket and to understand, okay, I can drive in this place. And it's just so many different things. Because you see him sometimes just to stop on a dime and pull up in the mid-range with a guy in his face. Those are difficult shots to hit.
Right.
And I think he did really well. And again, it was a lot of that. It was packing the paint and trying to stop Cade Cunningham first. And I think, again, something I keep waiting for. Through 3 games, we really haven't seen the playmaking ability. And a lot of that is just committing to cutting off his passing angles when they rotate. They're not just rotating to stop him as a scorer. They're also rotating to stop him as a passer, which is, again, a difficult thing to get around. But the more he starts hitting those shots from outside, the different you can't defend him the same. And if these guys from outside start hitting more and more shots and guys start scoring, it just becomes a very different game. And also say this, the way that we talked about the first game especially, the lack of offensive sets, and I think a lot of that had to come down to they haven't had practice time. They're trying to come into defense and rebounding first because offense can come. And you saw in the first game, there wasn't a lot of offense sets, a lot of off-ball movement. It was a lot of one-on-one guys, just going and dribble drives, reversing the ball around, finding the guy who can hit a gap and go, which is fine, which works enough because you have the talent that you have all around. But at the same time, it's a difficult process, and you want to get guys easier shots. And it got better and better each game, and it's going to keep getting better. You see these guys moving around. You see getting them in better spots to rotate the ball around to get the ball to their playmakers. And yeah, for Cade, I think he played well, and I think it's such a luxury, but also just an engine of this team.
When you look at, it's a testament to Cade Cunningham and the fact that you're right, we haven't seen much of his playmaking abilities, and that's because the teams are harping on it, right? And it's like Tylan Wallace, right? When he goes out there, you're obviously going to see him get doubled or anything like that. They're going to apply all this pressure to Tylan Wallace. They're going to apply all this pressure to Cade Cunningham too, and they're going to try to stop what they see as his primary attack, which is playmaking, right? Playmaking ability is outstanding. So when it comes down to it, this is a guy who it's proving his greatness in the fact that he's able to thrive even without that sort of playmaking ability, and being able to really show that off. And he's creating his own shots, right? And he's going across the court and being in the right place, right? Off ball movement's great, and he's really doing a great job.
And it's making such difficult shots, and it's not even like he's shooting 40, 30 times or something. He's not, he's not the typical freshman who's just so used to being the number one guy who just feels like they have to shoulder everything.
Yeah.
Think about it. He only had 13 points before the last 2 free throws.
Right.
This is a guy who's really taking on, the right load and understanding when to hit guys. And that's a big part of it. As a point guard, you not only are trying to create assists, and here's the thing. I say that I haven't seen the playmaking ability yet, but I say that as a thing, almost as a compliment.
Yeah.
That you have that, but he's not forcing the issue. Like I said, that first game, he had, 5 turnovers, whatever. Yes. But a lot of that wasn't on him. It was just the difficulty of his defense and the fact that he knew he kind of had to put it himself and how well that defense was playing. But you think about here, and he's just getting he's not getting smarter. He is smart.
Yeah.
It's understanding how to pick his spots, when to pick his spots. And here's the thing about point guards, about floor generals, really good floor generals. They're not guys who are just going to go in and create an assist and find a guy. Sometimes you just realize, all right, yeah, my guy is hot, or he's good from this spot. Let me get him the ball right here. You don't get an assist. You don't get any sort of tick, but you do from your coach and you do from people who understand basketball.
Right.
Because those are just smart plays. And just being a floor general, handing the ball to your players in the right spot, even getting them in the post. Hit Caleb Boone down low and just be done right there. Smart plays. That's how you be a floor general. That's how you control this team, and that's how you control the pace. That's how you win games.
Hats off to Cade Cunningham for getting it done and being able to come into his own role here at OSU. Let's talk about Cade Cunningham when he's not on the floor, right? And let's talk about how Isaac Likely is able to step up his performance and run this offense when Cade Cunningham's on the floor or off the floor on the bench. Isaac Likely, my goodness, the way he's able to drive in and be that kind of slasher type of deal, and also kick the ball out, for an open shot. He's doing a great job this year, and obviously last game he had a a pretty good stat line too. So when you look at Isaac Likely, what do you see from him when Cade Cunningham's not on the floor?
I'm sure a lot of people are looking at Isaac Likely, looking at his stats, looking at his production, and thinking he's not meshing well. But I think he's meshed perfectly.
I think so too.
Right? I mean, first off, let's think about when Cade's on the floor. This is a guy who can now start to hit threes.
Yeah.
And it looks smooth. It looks confident.
It looks really good.
It looks good, and he's doing it in places where you don't think it's going in. And understandably, the commentators and everyone are still surprised. But man, he looks like I said from game one, I had a good feeling because it's development's not something you can track. But you saw game one and you saw the way he was taking shots, and it's good because first off, it gives you that sort of floor spacing, helps his own game, but it also helps the fact that you're playing next to Cade, give you more floor spacing. If teams want to sag off, you can pull it up, you can pull that shot. But then also when Cade's off the floor, I realized it just struck in my head right as soon as Cade went to the bench and there was one play. Isaac Likely, having him is such a luxury.
Right.
The fact that you can replace Cade Cunningham and Isaac Likely, again, one of the best point guards in the nation when he's healthy. He's so underrated. And even now he's underrated. You think about Cade Cunningham, and everyone talks about Cade and this top 5 recruiting class. People forget about Isaac Likely. I mean, yeah, a lot of people know him, but they don't realize how good he's been and his impact on both sides of the ball as a defender, as a leader, but also as an offensive guy. He can get to the rim. He's so strong, so savvy. And he almost plays the same role that Cade does.
Yeah, he does.
He can get down those post-ups. He can be a playmaker on the block. He can score from the block. Now he can shoot a little bit. He can find guys really well. He's a very savvy, great passer, obviously. Can get to the rim, though. Strong, athletic, low to the ground. I mean, he's got a good center of gravity, a low center of gravity, rather. And he's a talented guy. It's such a luxury to have a guy like that. And on the floor together, I think it's unmistakable to me that when you have those type of play type, when you have both those play styles, those ball dominantness, the fact that they've meshed this well, because you see it so many times where Cade will be going down low, or Isaac Likely will be going down low, or they'll be on different sides and just understand, hey, if Cade drives in, he gets doubled a little bit, or even if just guys start looking at him, you pass the ice since another guy can drive in. It's such a luxury that if Cade's being doubled real quick, you pass to Avery, then Avery passes to Chris, then Chris passes to Isaac Likely. I mean, that's basically having another just play initiator on that side to go find some more baskets. And he's grabbing rebounds, he's playing defense, he's doing things all over, and his impact goes way beyond the stat sheet.
Yeah, totally, right? And the fact that he's able to shoot the ball now a little bit better,
right,
and have a smoother stroke on it. I mean, Isaac Likely can shoot now. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. We talk about the potential of it, but I think we can all just flat out say it. And I'd love to see him get more shots up. That would be truly an interesting thing to see if he could put more shots up, right, and see how he can shoot on a higher workload.
And he's not even he's so talented inside, and he's so good at the rim that he doesn't need to be a volume shooter, right? He can just be that guy who takes maybe 2-3, maybe takes 5 threes in one game, takes 0 the next game, 1 the next game. He can be that sort of player where he's just doing enough to make you respect it, but that opens up everything. Even without a shot, he was still getting to the rim. But this just explains it a whole hell of a lot more.
It does, man. It does. And when you look at the rest of the team, right, and the three-point shooting, you look at some of the numbers, right? You look at 27.8% from the beyond the arc, and it doesn't look super sexy. But when you take a look at it and the shots that they're putting up, I mean, I still like it, right? You have a guy out there in Fair and Flavors who can shoot long threes. I believe it was in the second half. He had a long three at the top of the key, and it was so cool to see, right? And there's a bunch of guys out there that are able to do this, and I still think they're putting these right shots up. Maybe less so this game, but I think in the previous past couple games, you look at some of the 3-point percentages, and I think they're putting the right shots up, and they're gonna fall eventually. There's just some guys that are shooting 0 for 3 here and there. That piles up and gets the team percentage down. But I think overall, when it comes down to it, this team is taking the right shots.
No, you're right. I saw the percentage at the end of the night, and I was like, what?
It's misleading, right?
It really is. It really is. Because you take a look at those shots, and you're right. They were such good shots. I thought almost every shot they took was uncontested, lightly contested, in the flow of the offense. Call a Farron shot bad if it doesn't go in, right?
I love it.
But it goes in, right? And that's the thing. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, okay, this is what I didn't tweet. What I was thinking though was, this is the benefit of having a veteran guy. This is why you bring in a Fair and Flavors, not just because of the 3-point shooting ability, but they were down 15, 20 points at the time, and a veteran guy who's been in these situations before. understands, not even just understands, but he's a guy his nerves are a lot more common than the other guys because he's been in these situations before. So he hits a big shot and gets everyone's aura down and stops freaking out because you have a bunch of young guys who haven't been in this sort of situation many times. And that's the benefit of having that. But you're right. All these shots were so good. I thought they were all open. They were all good. They were all close to the line pretty much. Those are the type of shots you want. Yeah, I mean, they didn't go in, whatever. But I thought they shot really well. And I think that was big because now you got the floor spacing. And from there, everything else expands open. And it's going to – and that's what I said. Through 3 games, they've taken really good shots. Forget the percentages. Forget the blah, blah. But they've taken good shots. They've taken open shots. And they're going to come with Cade and Isaac likely driving in. Now with Bryce Williams and all these guys, they've got really good shooters, and it's going to be so important because you think about, it's like you want to pack the paint if you're Marquette, you want to pack the paint if you're any team. With Cade Cunningham driving in, all right, kick it out to Rondell Walker, kick it out to Bryce Williams, kick it out to Farron Flavors, kick it out to Keelan Boone, whoever. I mean, kick it out to Isaac Likely apparently, right? I mean, it's that sort of thing, and it just helps so much. 3-point shooting is so important. In basketball today, there was a time where you could draft guys that couldn't shoot, or you were fine if they couldn't shoot. Now it's a necessity. It really is. And the 3-point shooting is so important. I think they're gonna fall because they're too talented of 3-point shooters for them to not fall. You've seen all these guys. Rondell, who went over 2. We've seen him. Farron Flavors, not only we've seen him last game, we've seen him in his entire career.
I know,
shooting threes, right? We know these guys can make threes. They're good shots because even if they're not going in, with a guy like Farron Flavors, once these guys establish a reputation of Farron Flavors, Rondell already has that reputation. Donovan Williams, once they start, even Anderson's hitting threes, Chris Harris, right? All these guys have reputations. So even if they go, 2 for 20 from 3 in a night, just the fact that those guys are shooting, the defense is going to have to pay attention.
Exactly.
And start, expanding. Otherwise,
spacing it out.
Right. It's going to have a long-term effect, and that's going to be so important.
Yeah, that will space out the entire floor, right? And that'll give Cade Cunningham more opportunities to drive in, right, and do what he does best. And then you're right, like that Farron Flavors 1 for 6 stat line from 3, it's misleading.
Really
for some reason. I looked at that at the end of the game. That the 27%, obviously, that stuck out to me. But when you look at Farron Flavors in particular, like it was not a thing of, oh my goodness, like he took so many bad shots, bench him. I didn't think that. I didn't think of it that way.
Not
right? And when he hit that one, that was from it was from Green Bay, right? Or Milwaukee. It was from Green Bay. It was so far. It really electrified the team, right? And
it really did.
If it goes in, it's not a bad shot. So that's
no. I mean, obviously, I know you're joking, but the whole thing with good and bad shots are every shot is different per person. You take Steph Curry, and the shots that he would consider a good shot are very different from what Caleb Boone would consider a good shot, right? Farron Flavors taking that type of shot versus Isaac Likely taking that sort of shot. I mean, we said he's improved, but at the same time, the type of shot selection varies per player. It does. I mean, you think about it. You wouldn't have Avery Anderson post up on a post hook on a 1-on-1 and think it's a good shot. But if Matthew Alexander-Moncrief did it, it's 2 different things. Small tangent, but that's what I'm saying. It's a good shot for a guy like Farron Flavors. I mean, good enough, right?
Totally. And let's talk about 2 of my favorite players from last night, okay? Sure. 2 of, I think, we talk about Cade Cunningham being the best player on the floor, but these were the real stars of the show. I'm talking Rondell Walker, and I'm talking, oh my gosh, you told me about him. And I mean, I believed you, obviously, but the Bryce Williams show, I think this is going to be incredible with Cade and Ice on the bench or anybody, right? If this team's starting point guard was Bryce Williams, I think it still works, right? He is incredible off the bench, right? He's a great piece when these 2 guys are not in, or if you put him and another one of them out there. This is a guy who's going to get it done this season, and he proved it the other day.
I saw a tweet from Fran Fraschillo today saying that he had talked to Mike Boyden earlier, and Mike Boyden thought that Bryce Williams would be like Baylor's Devontae Bandu last year, 6-man stud, guy who can come off the bench and score and hurry. And you see it early. Bryce Williams was not only talked up by Mike Boyden this offseason, he has proven it. I mean, obviously he didn't play the first game, dental emergency. Second game only played, 3 minutes? And now he really showed it. And this guy, I mean, you watch the tape of his JUCOs before Ole Miss, and he was talented as a number 1 guy. I always said this, he had like Russell Westbrook-esque athleticism, maybe obviously a notch or 2 below, but he's athletic. I think easily he's their best athlete instantaneously. You see it on the floor when he's just in transition or just running in. He's got such good balance, good vertical. And then he's a really good 3-point shooter, good form there, really good defender, high energy there. He's got all the traits you want. He's a bucket for sure. He is getting so good. And he comes off the bench and he's a really good player. He really is. I think that was a great get by Mike Boynton, and you almost just scratch your head as, man, they got this after the ban and after the Yor and Hitty leaving. So was no one ever going to take him?
Under the radar.
Really, and he was at a Power 5 program at Ole Miss, and not one that's, flooded with talent either.
No,
It's Ole Miss, and it was one of those things you're like, man, that's crazy. But, man, he is really, really talented.
Yeah.
He was he was 3 for 5 from 3. He spaced the floor out, gave you those threes. And it's one of those things where Marquette kept wanting to sag off and play off on Cade Cunningham and on Isaac Likely and all these guys. So you have a guy in Bryce Williams who's ready to take those shots. Then he's able to get to the rim. But you also saw this. He is able to play that point guard position. Not that OSU needed more point guards.
No.
But you can never have too many ball handlers, right?
Sure.
And Bryce Williams gave you another one in a night where you also lost Avery and Chris Harris. But that's okay, because even without that, you're fine, right? But, yeah, what a talented guy. Gave him a spark for sure. You're right. Such a talented guy, and he's really going to be good for OSU this season.
There were times last season, a bunch of times actually, where Mike Boynton was shipped off the starting lineup and tweak with it a little bit. Do you think there's ever going to be a time this year, a couple games maybe, where we see Bryce Williams in the starting lineup?
I could if there's injury. Just because of matchups and something, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because, you want that 6-man, and he's going to be playing the same amount of minutes anyway. And it's like you don't need that extra ball handler.
No.
Like I said, you can have it, but maybe Farron goes down or Kalen goes down. So maybe you see him in.
That's what I was thinking for Farron. Maybe.
Right, yeah. But it's like one of those things, if those guys are healthy, I would just bring him off the bench just because he's that, gives you that much of a spark plug. But also he's playing the same amount of minutes anyway.
Yeah.
Whether he starts or comes off the bench, it's okay. If you have the luxury to bring a guy like that off the bench, you're fine.
Not about who starts games, but about who finishes a game. Bryce Williams is a finisher for sure. Let's talk about Rondo Walker, one of my favorite surprises of the year. I mean, this is a guy who, coming into this year, I knew he would be good, right? He has the talent. He has, the experience, right, in high school and playing for a bunch of these talented teams. But my goodness, he is coming into his own early on this season. He's becoming one of the stars in this team.
I'm not surprised with the fact that he's this good. I think I'm surprised with the fact that he's playing this many minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where in PC West, he led them, I believe, in points and steals. You see the defense, the high motor. What did I say last podcast? Like, he is so good at creating steals. He's so good at targeting the ball and understanding when people leave them exposed on drives, whenever. That's how he creates so many steals.
Right.
He plays with such a high motor. He is constantly churning on defense. You see the pressure he applies. And he loves playing defense. He hustles. He's a very exciting guy. And he's only, 160, 170? Skinny, but
Skinny as heck.
But he's got the deceptive strength when he drives in. Great moves with the Euro step, the side steps, little moves here and there. And his first step is lethal. I think I realized that in high school, but you could see it against Marquette, really. His first step is lethal. He's got that 3-point shot that people have to respect a little bit. Then you can just burst by you. Even there was a player or two where Marquette wasn't, up on him because he could shoot, but still, this guy's first step is lethal. He can get to the basket. He's a little crafty down there. Like, he is good. He's a very good player. Defense, we just talked about it. But on offense, you saw in high school where he could, pull up on a dime. He could shoot the mid-range. He can hit contested shots. He is a tough guy, and he was elite from deep in three. In high school, excuse me. Elite from 3 in high school.
Yeah.
And that's translating here really quickly, and he's becoming a key piece for this team. You're right. I mean, great. He's just eye candy to watch as well.
Yeah.
Especially on defense. You see that.
Yeah, and the talent was always there, like you said.
Right.
But my goodness, Boynton trusts this guy.
Yeah.
He trusts him for sure. I mean, he's up there in leading for minutes on the team, right? And he proved it against Texas Southern.
Yep.
But now again against a talented Marquette team,
very good defense.
Yeah, very good defense, right? He's able to go out there and really show his stuff and just prove it once again on the offense side of the ball and definitely on defense. I mean, Rondell Walker is you said it best, a deceptively strong guy, and that proves in his defense, right? And he does a great job with it.
I just love his first step. I really do.
Me too, yeah.
You're right. Like I said, lethal, and he's able to get there. Like, Cade is obviously a mesmerizing talent, but Rondell, he's not, the elite athlete. Rondell Walker is a serious athlete. Like, you see him and his motor. Oh, my God. You love it on defense for sure. And then deceptive strength. He's able to get to the basket. He's also a good passer. We haven't seen much of that yet, but you saw it in the high school tape. He was a good passer, definitely. And he's got that combo guard skill. He can play that 1. He can play that 2. He is going to be a great player for Oklahoma State, but, I mean, he's doing well right now. Let's focus on right now, right? yeah, he's a great piece, and he is. I'm glad that you had so much youth. You have so much youth and so much of this and that. Sometimes guys get a little not unconfident, but sometimes the morale just kind of gets merged a little bit. You don't see that one guy emerge a lot of times when you have those young teams. But I'm glad that Rondell Walker, or someone first off, but I mean a lot of talented guys, but glad Rondell Walker is emerging because this guy's a serious talent. I mean, let's not forget on the ESPN list, top 50 recruit, right? I mean, he's overshadowed by Cade Cunningham.
Big time, yeah,
right?
of course.
But he's a very talented guy. Let's not forget that.
Oh, totally, right? And he's going to be a crucial piece for OSU this season and definitely going forward. Oh, my goodness, him developing is going to be a scary sight to see. Let's talk a little bit, and I'm not going to sound the alarms here, but a little bit about regression, especially from that first game. Matthew Alexander Moncrief, his production's gone down a little bit, right? His shootings get a little bit worse, or excuse me, his scorings get a little bit worse, right? And just percentage-wise, you look at it, and it's not attractive. But what is happening with this guy? I mean, coming down from the first game, like I said, not sounding the alarms yet, but his production has gone down quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's important to say it's not sounding the alarms, but yeah, it has been. I mean, it's a noticeable struggle. I'll say this, and I'll say this from the beginning, because you didn't see the ball handling that first game as much.
Right.
But, I mean, his ball handler's not great,
No.
which is fine, right? He'll get there, but it's fine for now, because, again, he is a big man. He's playing the 5 a lot, too.
Sure.
But you see the same things that we saw from day one. His footwork is awesome, right? He can get to the spots he needs to. That's the thing. 2 for 9 on the night. He's getting to the spots he needs to. And a lot of times he'll drive in, get to where he needs to, but just not finish properly. And I think a lot of that comes down to the polish and, finishing through contact to some degree. Not to say he can at all. He is a elite finisher in high school. He was a great finisher. He's going to be here for sure. It's just that little polish and that little bit of delivery at the end where you see him there and he'll put the ball where it needs to be, but then just slide off wrong and it'll miss off the basket. The footwork is allowing his body and his arms and everything to get to the place they need to, but from there it's just that little bit of polish at the end that's really a little bit off. And I don't even say the decision making's bad. The only one that was really bad was that one where he tried to drive in and just got the ball cleanly stolen. That's what I talk about, the ball handling. The footwork is great in the post. He's still got that sort of, you can put the ball on the floor and just go straight down. But it's one of those things. He's going to, improve a little bit and realize, okay, yeah, I need to finish through. Because there were some of them that were just weird where he got to the point. It's not like the defender was overly on his body pushing him out. Matthew Alexander Moncrief got to the spot he needs to, the spot where he was scoring from against UT Arlington, and would just flat out miss. And it's not like he was wide open, but the spots where he was going and the spots where how he was scoring were just off a little bit. I think it's going to come back quickly. I think it's just that little bit of polish at the end.
Yeah, I think so too, right? And he's a guy, he's sort of a, Mike Boynton called him, if he was in the United States, right, he would be one of the top prospects.
Top 20, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But there's still some things to iron out there, right? And obviously that'll come along. He's a freshman. He's young as heck.
Sure.
But if he wants to, maybe potentially make the NBA draft this upcoming season, right, then he's going to have to, polish some of those things. And surely he might be able to get that done. But time will tell, obviously, as the season goes along. Let's talk a little bit about another big guy, right? Let's talk about Caleb Boone a little bit. What do you think, in terms of his potential, not only on this season, but as time goes on in his career, what do you think that potential ceiling could be? Because he's another guy that's sort of a mystery, right, as it stands right now.
He scored 2 points, but those 2 points gave me a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
In a very weird way, because I was, almost holding my breath the whole season thinking, oh, I just had such bad Yorvane vibes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
From that second, third year onwards where he had showed so much promise and then kind of went down. And I'll say this, I didn't think Caleb Boone was going down that same path at all. I just think it was foul trouble from day one.
Sure.
He couldn't get into that same routine.
Again last night.
Right, exactly. And that's the name of the game, the foul trouble, which is, again, a Yorvane problem. And that's why it gives you those such vibes, right? But I think he showed it on that one post up. Like I said, that sigh of release. What I wanted to see from this guy was, like you see with Matthew Alexander Moncrief, is there a guy that they can just throw it down too low and he can, put up a basket, get in good position, good feel, understand where guys are, pass it out if need to. And you see some of the promise of the passing too, where he was turnovers, like I think all the passes.
Yeah. But
there were a couple of them where he's holding the post and a guy's cutting in and he's a willing passer. He understands, hey, this guy's cutting. Obviously, a pass was off. I'm talking about the UT Arlington game. There was a one to Isaac Likely. The pass was off. But the fact that he's willing to do that shows me that, okay, he's trying to expand his skill set, trying to do some of those things. And I think he's getting there as a shot blocker as well. He had 3 blocks against Texas Southern, 2 here. And every time, even when he's not getting the shot block, you see him going up there, contesting those. That's great. great for that defensive potential, but it's the foul trouble. Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's
this
where he's
is a urinate problem.
Right, exactly. It's one of those things where you learn, okay, I got to stay a little more disciplined, understand when I go up, and that's sometimes the toughest thing for big men.
Yeah.
Right. You saw with Andre Drummond in Detroit when he came in, a lot of examples of big men struggling with foul trouble, and because of that, you get out of a flow. You don't play as many minutes. Your production looks bad, and you just don't get in a flow. And flows and rhythms are so important, right? For Cade Cunningham too, rhythm is so important for basketball players. And he's a guy that would obviously be a centerpiece who could play 30, 35 minutes if they needed him to. I mean, they probably need him to, right? And he can mesh with the Matthew Alexander-Moncrief because they got two athletic guys, even though you don't have the same shooting, but you have that sort of athleticism. That's why it would work when they would need it to. But it's that sort of thing, and I'm just waiting for him to really break out. But I think it was a really good potential based on the fact that he made one basket in a weird way, right? You know
you're right.
Right?
You're right.
Exactly. And it was like, okay, yeah, I see that he's doing well in the post up because
My gosh, he just needs to stop this foul thing.
And I think he just has so much potential. You talk about Cade and Ice and in the pick and roll game, right? If this guy can run, he can be a great rim runner, obviously, because he's so athletic and can jump out. He's got a great wingspan. He can post up. He's got a lot of things, and on defense, he's shown out that way. And he doesn't need to be the strong, 250-pound guy down low because of how I said. I mean, look at it. When he's out of the game, when Matthew Alexander's out of the game, they put Cade Cunningham at the 5 because here's the thing. The way they're playing is they're doubling guys in the post. They're fronting a guy, having a guy behind. They're constantly moving. And Caleb Boone can be part of that. If he can go out to the perimeter and defend some guys, that'd be great too, right? It's one of those things. But I think it's coming, I do. But I think the foul trouble is really a difficult thing to swallow.
Yeah.
But that's where it really stems from.
He comes into his own. He works perfectly with his offense, right? As a rim runner, right? In the pick and roll game.
And the post-up guy.
Exactly, yeah. And he proved it last season. He can do it.
Right,
exactly. He needs to get back to that level.
That's my thing. He showed it last year. Yeah. And here's why I don't think he's Urinay. Urinay was always promise, without really the full product really coming out. With Caleb Boone, you saw that with some of the shot blocking, the defense, the low on the ability on the low block. You saw that already. So I think it's just getting better, getting stronger, and getting out of foul trouble.
The ghost of Urinay lives, okay, and it lives on through Caleb Boone. No, I'm kidding. He's going to get well, and he's going to get better as the season goes along. And this OSU basketball team looks to be improving and definitely showing strides and an impressive win over Marquette last night. We will see how they do going forward, and we will be covering that all season long on Ocali.com, at Ocali Sports on Twitter, and at Ocali on Twitter. I'm Ryan Novozinsky, joined here as always by Sudeep Tumma. Have a great day.